You've learned the secrets of the 2x2, mastered the incredible difficulty of the 3x3, solved parity on a 4x4, mastered some of the most difficult parts of a 5x5, but now, it's time to learn how to solve the next level. Let's learn how to solve the 6x6 Rubik's Cube. So it kind of goes without saying that if you're at this level, then I really recommend that you learn how to solve a 3x3, a 4x4, and a 5x5. 2x2, you don't really know how to solve the 2x2. It's just fine if you don't know how to solve that. But I really recommend that you learn how to solve these three puzzles. You're really going to need to learn how to solve them in order to tackle this bad boy right here. So the 6x6 uses a lot of elements of the 3x3, the 4x4, and some concepts on 5x5 and 4x4. The only real concept on 5x5 that you're really going to use for this is your edge parity, and that's pretty much about it for 5x5. And for 4x4, since this is an even layered puzzle, it means that we are going to get parity. So parity looks like this. Parity would be where this right here, where the entire cube is actually solved, except for this part right here, and there is no really method to actually solve this. You're going to have to perform an algorithm to solve this parity, and this is actually seen in the 4x4 as well. As you can see, everything else can be solved, yet we have this sort of parity right here where these actually need to be swapped and there's something to swap it with. So that's really what we have to deal with when dealing with parity. And there's also OLL parity, but we'll come to that also when we get to that bridge. So what we're going to do next is we are going to go through some of the notations that I'm going to have to show you in order to really understand what this cube has to do with speed solving. So with the 6x6, we're going to be going through some of the notations, and some of the notation that I really just need to teach you is when we do these 2-layer and 3-layer. Since this is going to be a multi-layered puzzle, when they say R, lowercase r 3, then that means that you're going to have to turn all 3 of these layers together at the same time. And that's pretty much the only thing, and that goes for U and for R. If I go UU3, you turn the whole 3 sides. If I go UU2, you're only going to turn these 2 sides, and if I go U, then you just turn the outer layer. So that pretty much goes for every single part of the notation. We've already learned notation, regular notation, from solving our I guess Rubik's Cube. Our original 3x3. So that is what we learned in that notation. In the 4x4, we learned about parity, and we learned about edge orientation, how to pair the edges together. And on 5x5, we learned about commutators and how to arrange pieces for the last layer. So that's what we learned for those, each in 3 individuals, and this is all going to be part to solve your 6x6 Rubik's Cube. So let's go ahead and get started and scramble the cube up. Okay, this looks like a decent scramble right here. So this scramble comes back to the 4x4. When we had our 4x4 scrambled, we saw that a lot of the time there wasn't really a center, kind of like these odd layer puzzles. In odd layer puzzles, as like the 3x3 and the 5x5, we see that there is this center that, you know, never moves anywhere. I can make an R. I can do any sort of turn, and the center will always be there. The color will always be right. This side is always going to be white no matter what do I do to the cube on odd layer puzzles only. This goes for the 5x5 also. So you can see that this center square is the only thing that defines if it's a white side or not. But on even layered puzzles like the 2x2, the 4x4, and the 6x6 and higher, we actually need to create our sides. For that, you're going to need your 3x3 Rubik's Cube just to make sure you have the color scheme correct in order to have the maximum amount of chance to avoid parity, because you really don't want to get parity. It confuses people, and it's just better not having parity. So that's one of the things we try to avoid here. So let's go ahead and start off by building our white center and our yellow center. They always have to be opposite of each other, remember that. So on the 4x4, we learned that we needed to create a little forced section of white, but we're not actually going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to create this entire section as white. This whole block in the inside needs to be white right here. And the reason for that is because this is a 6x6, so you need to go one more layer up. So we're going to start off with first doing these center ones first, either this side like this or this side like that. We can work on the outer ones later, but first we really want to get our center edges done. And the reason for that is because it defines what the centers will look like at the end, and the outer edges are much easier to do than the inner ones, so I like to tackle the harder ones first in order to really captivate. So we can see that we have our 3 edges right here, but we're missing this piece right here. And if we look around the cube, we see that this piece can go here, but if I move it down like that, then it's really not going to go in. So what I need to do is I need to rotate this like that so it's able to go in like that, and I just put it in. And this is good. So the next thing you want to do is once you have at least one bar done, is you want to move it up like this, because that way you can move around and you won't destroy this because you'll move along with it no matter what you do. Okay, so I see one of the pieces right here. So let's look around and see if I can find another one. So I see another one right here and I see one right there. Now how you can tell with so many pieces around is you just want to look at this tiny little 2x2 square right here. If there's a white piece on any of these sides, then that means it's going to go on one of these 2 layers that you're looking for. So always look for that little 4x4 or that little 2x2 section. If there's a white sticker right there, then you're going to want to use that. So obviously we're making sure that we're not messing this up. We're going to align this together. That's good there. And now we can start looking for pieces on these 2 sides, and this one may look like one, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to align it in the same direction that this is facing like that to see if it'll fit. And I think, yeah, it fits perfectly well, and so we still have saved that there. So this looks like one, but if I move it down, it's not really going to do anything. Let's try the other side. So you always want to try it both sides if it doesn't fit. If it doesn't fit on both sides, then you can just leave it alone. And we have found it. We have created another bar, and we can plug it in here, and now we've created our 2 middle sides. Now we can start working on the outer one, so you don't have to focus on this area anymore. You can start focusing on these outer pieces, this outer square. If you see white pieces, then you're going to want to try to put them together. See, now this is a very interesting case that we see right here. We can see that the white stickers right here and the edges right here. One thing that we can do is we can actually do this. If you always have this, if you have any of these cases where it's like this, and the corners right here and the edges right there, you can always put the corner right here. And how you're going to do that is by moving this corner up. You're going to move this corner up here to the top, and then you're going to move it down. So let's try that again. If you want to learn it in an algorithm, it's going to be L prime U L, and that will in turn create this little section, and we can start looking around. Okay, so I see one right there, so we can definitely use that by rotating it this way. And we can see that when we align it together, it creates that bar right there, so that's really good. I have another one right here, so we're going to go ahead and see if it'll... No, it doesn't fit. But as we learned in 5x5, corners can actually be rotated in certain ways in order to fit correctly. We can see that we want it to go on this top corner, and this corner can switch over here. So if we do it that way, like that, we can move it down, and we've created another bar, and we can put it in here. So as you can see, we're almost done with our white side. We just need to finish this part right here. So let's look around. Okay, so I see a little bit of pieces right there, but if I move them down, I'm going to mess up my cross. And how you're going to do that is you're going to move them down, you're going to do a U2, and you're going to move it back up. And like that, you move your pieces right here, and you can start looking for ways to attach them. So what I can do here is I can use the same algorithm again. I can do my L prime U, but instead of doing a U, you're going to do a U2 and then an L. The reason why we did that was because if we just did a regular U, then we would plug this in here without it being complete, and we don't want that. So I found an extra space where there's no white stickers to put it into the slot. That way I can work on my pieces up here. So this part can go right here, and I know that because this is not a corner, this is a corner and this is an edge. I can put this edge in here, and how I'm going to do that is I'm going to move it out of the way. I'm going to realign this to go up. I'm going to realign this to go up as well, and I can see that if I put it down here, it's going to turn into exactly what I want. Okay, so here's a corner, and we can see that this is the exact same slot as before. So what I'm going to do is, since I need it here, and I can go right here, I'll do it that, and I'll move it down to where I need to. And so now I have completed the white side. So we are basically on our first step. We're almost done with our building center stages. Now we need to go on the opposite side and do our yellow side. Alright, since we have actually solved our white side, we can start going to the yellow side, which is going to be opposite, as we can see on a 3x3, which is what you want to use an odd layer puzzle. Usually your 3x3 just to determine where the colors go. We can see that we finished our white center, and the opposite of that white center is going to be the yellow side. As you can see, if I do an M2, white ends up on the opposite side. So that's what we're going to solve for next. And to do that, we are going to need to be careful now. Now, the reason we need to be careful is because we already have a solved side on the bottom. And because of that, we need to always move our pieces back to where they go. So let's go ahead and start with the yellow center. So I can see here that I can start building one of my little layers in the middle. And I see the edge, one of the pieces of the edge is going to be in there. And I see another one right here because it's inside the little 2x2. And if I move it this way, I can align them, but I can also see I've taken this out of the way. So what you're going to do is you will align them. You're just going to take this out of the way, this thing, and you're going to move it back down. And it's still aligned, and we have our little 2-edge bar. So we can start looking and seeing, nope, it doesn't align. We can start looking for these edges, and oh, this one aligns, but we have moved this out of the way. So you're going to move this way, and you're going to move it back to where you originally moved, and this is going to be realigned. Let's keep looking. Okay, so I see one right here. I think it could go down. Yep. Now, since I originally moved like this, I gotta move this out of the way and do the opposite of that, which is this. Now, the reason for that is so that this doesn't get messed up, and I continue to build off here. Let's see. Okay, so I see another one of these little 2x2s in here. I see another one here, but I also see it's connected to an edge. See, it's connected here. This and this are connected, which means if I rotate it like this, you can see that I would have this. Oh, and conveniently I have this too, but if you have this and you see an edge, you can move it. It's kind of like a little corner. You can move it to wherever you want to go in order for it to fit. And it actually does fit perfectly with this. So now I can move it upward to here. But if I do the original thing I used to do and just move it there, I have to realign this. I can move U2 and move it down, but this is just back here. So what you're going to do is what we learned on the 5x5, and you're going to basically push this out of the way, and by doing so, when you do a U2, you push that back to its original spot as well. So let's go ahead and look for these two spots right here. Let's see. Okay, so I have these two right here, so this is good. I have that corner. If I move that corner down here, it aligns with that, but I want to work on this. So just like a corner, I can go on any side that I need, and since I need it here and this goes here, I move it down and I have that. Now let's go ahead and test this out. And to move this out of the same side, if you want to experiment with this, you're going to want to move it like that out of the way without endangering this. So let's go ahead and see if it aligns. It does align, so that's good. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do our normal thing. We're going to move it up, we're going to do a U2, and we're going to do it down. And that's basically, we're almost done with our yellow side, which is a really, really good thing. I'm very glad that we're almost done. And let's see. Okay, so I see one right here. And what you're going to do in this situation is you are going to basically move this up, move the corner where it needs to go this side, and it needs to go here. So by rotating, I can move that down like that. And I have those pieces. This is the last edge piece, and because it's on the same side, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it up out of that side so I can experiment with this, see where I need to move it. And it looks like it'll just go in like that. And this is our last edge, and we're going to do the same thing we did with here. We're going to move it towards the spot that is taken up instead of the spot that's empty, so that when I do a U2, that spot will come back to its original position. And now we have finished our white side and our yellow side, and that's a really good thing because now we can go on to the last four centers. Now with this one, you actually are going to need your 3x3 Rubik's Cube, and for that, let's start off with doing the green side because I like green, I don't know why. So since we have our green side, we can see that if this was our green side, then the next side, this side would have to be orange, and this side would have to be red, and the opposite side would be blue. So I need to make sure that I know that I can't have this being red because I will get a parity and I won't be able to fix it. So you always want to make sure that you are doing your color notation correctly. So since this is green, the right side is going to be orange and the left side is going to be red. So let's go ahead and start off with the green side. Now, since we learned on the 5x5 that after completing our centers for these two sides, we would have it lined up like this, where we would have the white side on the left, yellow on the right, and we would just continuously move these side edges. We would never ever touch these again. And that's exactly what we're going to do in this situation. We are not going to touch the white or the yellow side, just so we can make sure that everything is complete, everything is fine and good to go. Man, all this talking really gets me thirsty. I feel good now. Oh yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and start off with our little 2x2 side, building these two. So now I'm gonna have my white on my left, yellow on my right. Let's see. Okay, so I see I have one right there, and again it's aligned, which is a good thing, which means if I put it together, that means I already have 3 of them, and I just need to finish it off with that one. So let's look around. Okay, so it looks like this one goes right here and this one goes right there. So if I move it up, I actually align them. And like we did with our yellow and white side, we want to have it like this. We want it vertical, not horizontal. So let's look around for some other pieces. Okay, so I see this piece right here needs to go with this piece, and there's a piece right there. So because if I put them together, I actually connect them. So now I just need to find another one of those edge pieces. It looks like one of these two will do it. So let's move this out of the way down here, move it horizontal so I can move this like that, and now find my green side, make this vertical, but since it's on this side, we're going to do it on the other side and line them up together. Now we can start working on these two right here. So let's start looking for some pieces to solve right there. Let's see, it looks like this piece can go down here. So let's do that, making sure we're not messing. Oh look, we did mess something up. We disassembled this. So what we're going to do is we're going to move this out of the way. We're going to move this up, that way those two are together. We can continue. Let's say the last thing I need is a corner, so let's look around. Okay, so I see a corner right there, so I will just use that, move it down there and line that. And since I didn't move anything else, I'll just realign it, putting it together down there. And all I need left now is this part right here. Let's look around. Okay, so awesome. We have 2 aligned parts right here. I'm gonna put them up here because it's better for me to see that those 2 are there. So it looks like this one can go down here to go to this one, but in doing so I took out the one that was here. So I'm going to move this out of the way on this side, that way I can move this back where it originally was, and I can continue building off of where it was. So it looks like the corner's good because it's on the spot that I wanted. So if I just move it all the way down, I line them together and I can now put it in, and we have done 3 sides. Now remember, you saw that I did not move or even touch the yellow or the white side, and the reason why they didn't get touched was because I was only using the very outer face. You do not want to use any of these moves, a U2, a U lowercase u, or a U lowercase u3, and you don't want to use those at all. You just want to stick to using the very outer ones only. When you're moving these things, you don't want to use your middle ones. You just want to use the outer ones when you're moving around. You can move around with the middle ones vertically, but horizontally you can only use this motion. So it's important that you know that. Let's go ahead and go with the next side. Since we learned on 3x3, since this is our green, we can have our green center. The next one has to be, oh, this is the white side, sorry. Since this is green and this is yellow, that means our next side has to be orange. So let's work on the orange side. Let's work on the orange side. Here we go. Let's see. What do we got? It looks like, oh wait, right side right here. Okay, so I'm gonna keep my green face at the bottom and keeping my red on top. That way I have space right here on top too. Oh my gosh, wow, look at that. Look how convenient that is, that we actually have a piece right there. And I want to move it down here, so what I'm gonna do is I am gonna move it down. But I've taken this out, so I'm gonna move this out of the way. I'm gonna move it up. So it's just like when we did one side and we had to do the yellow side, we have to make sure that we are always checking up on our side that we solved. In this case, it would be green, making sure that it's not destroyed, and if it is destroyed, we have to find a way to put it back together. Alright, so I can see this piece right here can align with this piece right here, so I'm gonna do that. I align those two together. I've messed up actually a lot of stuff, so I'm gonna move this out of the way and I'm gonna move it back up. And so now I have my orange piece and the green is still solved. That's a good thing. And now I just need to find one of these two edges, and it looks like that won't work. But let's try this one right here. Okay, this one does work. If I move it up, then that works. Move it out of the way, move that green down. And now I need to find this last piece, and I think this one will work. Yes. So I did that, move that out of the way, move the green back down. Then we can start putting it in with this one. So what we're going to do is we're going to align them at the same row, move it down, move this out of the way by doing a U2. Then you move it back up. The green is still solved, and we still have this solved right here. This is good. Okay, so now what we can do is we can go ahead and go to... Okay, so this is a very interesting case. Now, one cool thing about this particular case is when you have a row right here and you have a row right here, if I align it like this, I can actually complete the row by doing this. And because of that, I have moved my row and I moved the green down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this out of the way, and I'm going to move this back up. And so now the green is restored, and I can move this down, move it out of the way by doing a U2, then moving it back up. And then that part will be solved right there. So let's go ahead and keep looking around. It seems like the last thing we need to do is to complete this row right here. So let's look around for some pieces. Okay, so I think I see one. Seems that these two orange pieces are good except for that row right there, and this one can go in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to move them together like that. And you see that I have moved all these pieces out of the way. So what we're going to do is we're going to move this out of the way, and we're going to move everything back to where it was. Making sure our green is still good, our orange is still good, and now we are finishing off with this orange corner. So I can see that if I move this up here, once again I move that orange piece, and we're actually going to move it down with it, that way we can get closer to our orange side. And I can't just put it in like this, because if I put it in like that, then I move this out of the way and I can't do anything to replace it. So what you're going to do is you're going to move it to the opposite side right here, and you're going to move it down, doing another U2, moving it back up. And now we have solved our green and our orange side, and now we can work on our last two centers. So on the 5x5, we learned that last two centers is going to involve a commutator, and what a commutator is doing a specific set of moves that actually just swaps two pieces from two sides. And as you can see, I'm doing that right now. And by doing this specific algorithm, you can see that everything else in the puzzle is solved, except I have swapped two pieces. And this is important because we don't want none of our work to be messed up, since we have solved two extra centers on the 6x6. So by doing this specific set of algorithms, we actually can figure out what to do. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what you need to do when you come across commutators on any sort of solving phase on the 6x6. So let's see. We're first going to start off by solving the little 2x2 center of both of them. And we learned that with the 4x4 of solving centers, we can align this and this together. And by doing that, it's going to go down here and align these two right here, this little 2x2 section. And it's a convenience because we have a little row right here, and we're going to move it down there by doing this. And because of that, I move that down, and we're going to do a U2, move it back up. So the whole purpose of this is to try to fix as much as possible without having to do commutators. You can do that. It doesn't look like there's anything else we can do, so let's start with our commutators. So let's start off right here. This red right here, this piece needs to go here, okay? I don't care about this going here. I just care about this red going down here, because soon they will actually swap each other out and it will eventually solve itself. So right now all you need to be concerned with is moving this red piece down here. Now what I can do is I can align them like this, and you can see that I move that out of the way. That's alright. What you're going to do is you're going to use your F. And what you're going to do after that is you're going to move this blue piece down also. So now we have two pieces going down. Then you're going to do the reverse of what you did. So you did an F. Now you're going to do an F prime, moving this piece back up. Going back for that other piece, you did an F prime, and now you're going to do the reverse again by doing an F. And now you're going to move this piece back up. So you can see that piece has now been solved, and we just need to swap two more corners. So let's see, does this need to go here? No. And the reason how you know it doesn't need to go there is because if there's already a red and there's a red with it, yeah, that's not going to work. It has to replace one of the blue pieces. So let's see. So this one will replace one of the blue pieces. So what you can do here is you can move this down, do another F, move this piece down, do an F prime, because that's the opposite, move this piece back up, do an F, and then move this piece back up. So we can see now we only have one piece left, and we only have one piece left up here. So what we need to do is really just swap these two left. So it's going to be an F, no, sorry, it's going to be an R prime, F, and then this piece right here. Now the reason why we're not doing this side is because when I did this, I aligned it to where that piece was. When I do an F, this piece is on this side, not this side. You always want to be targeting that piece that you originally did, that you originally tried to swap. Since I'm trying to swap this piece, I'm going to move this row, not this row, because this piece is not on this row. So you're going to move that down. You're going to move an F prime again. You're going to move this side you originally moved. And finally, you're going to do an F and just realign. And now we have solved every single center of our 6x6 Rubik's Cube. This is great. Now we can go onto our edge pairing. And from that, we'll go to 3x3 stage. So let's get started with that. All right, let's do this. Let's go ahead and go to our first edge pairing. What we're going to be edge pairing first are the ones with white stickers on them, and we always want to do that because it'll go on our white side at the bottom. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so I see that there's an orange piece right here, but if I actually look around, there are two of them that can actually go, both reds. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try to find the other piece. So I see the piece right here. So if I want to move it down here to this side without messing anything up, is you want to do an R, U prime, R prime, and that's to move it on this side. If you want to move it on this, if I want to move this orange on this side, I would have to do a L prime, U, L. So that's what you would do if you want to move it on that side. Let's see, this can be aligned like this, and you don't have to worry about, you know, these pieces misaligning with themselves. You don't really have to worry about that. You just need to worry about misaligning like this. You don't want to do that because it's going to mess up your center. So just make sure that you're always performing that algorithm correctly, because it will make sure that you don't ever mess up your center. So let's go ahead and continue. Okay, so I see that this piece is right here. This piece needs to go like this on this side, so we're gonna do our L prime U L, and now I can align them. And now that I've done that, I'm gonna move it up here using the same algorithm that I did to try to put a piece in. That's gonna be an R U R prime, and that's what happens right there. Let's go ahead and look around for another white edge piece, sort of. So I see this white and blue. There's another white and blue right there. So I can move that there. And you don't want to do it like this, just moving it in like that, because that's going to end up moving this. So you want to move out of the way of that slot that you're going to use. And now you're going to do the algorithm again. L, U, L prime. And so now I move that there. So there's another blue and white. And we're going to move it. We're going to stay away from here. We're going to do our algorithm again. And it goes like that. Align them together. Let's look around for our next piece. Let's see. This is kind of hard looking through the viewfinder of the phone. Let's see. Okay, so we have another blue and white, and this time it's going to go right there. So we're going to go ahead and move it this way, like that. And now those two are together. Where's our white side? It's right here. So we're going to move it R, U prime, R prime. And conveniently, I have managed to move a green and a white both together. This one needs to go right here, so I'm going to move it this way with RU R prime, RU U prime R, and that's going to end up slotting those together. Now I need to look for the final piece right here. Let's see, I see it right there, but if I move it this way, it's not on the right side, so I'm going to have to switch it up, and to switch it up, you're going to do RU R prime, and then you're basically gonna, since it was on originally on this side, you're gonna do it on this side, and for that you're gonna have to do an, it was here, now we have to move it here, so now you're gonna do an L prime UL, and now they can be realigned together. Now remember, you don't have to worry about these things coming apart. Once you finish your edges, it'll all come back together. So let's go ahead and move it up with an RUR prime. So now we have 3 edges done. This is the very last one we need to do. Let's look around for our orange and white. So let's see, what can I do with this orange and white? I see one right there, and I see one right there, and it needs to go right here at the bottom. So I'll move this out of the way, do an L prime, line those two together. Let's look around. Okay, so I see another one right here. It needs to go right here, so we're going to do the algorithm again, aligning those pieces together. Now we just have to look for this bottom piece. Is it here? No. Okay, so it's here, but it's on top, so I need to swap it. And now I have aligned those, and now I can put this piece right here, and it looks like we have basically done all of our edges at the bottom. Now we have to realign here. Realign all of these pieces, and the centers are good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to align these colors so they go on the right side. So what we're going to do is we're going to move them all up. And we're going to align our green. Let's look around for our green. There's green. We can move it down. Let's see. We see our orange right here. It doesn't match up. If I move it here, it does. So now I can move that down. Let's see. Okay, so our red is right here, but it can't go in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this way. Move it down. Move it that way, and then move this back here. You learned how to do this when you were solving a 3x3, so this is why I need you to learn how to solve a 3x3. So yeah, it's just like putting in a cross piece on a 3x3. You don't really need a instruction to do that, but that's how you put in a corner or an edge. So now we can continue. And since we have our cross, we don't have to look down here anymore. We can always look up here for pieces now. Because before I had to look down and up for pieces, now I can just focus here, on the sides, and on top. So let's keep looking. Now we want to start working on our yellow cross, so we're going to start looking for these yellow pieces right here. So let's start looking. Okay, so I see a blue right there, and there's a blue right there, so this needs to go. Oh wow, look. So if those two gone right there, and this one needs to go down here, so we're going to do that again. Let's see. So I see this goes here, but it actually can go there perfectly fine. Awesome. So we move that up there using we don't have to swap it, so that's good. Let's see. Okay, so we can do green and blue, green and yellow now. So that one needs to go here, so that means I have to move it down here. Move it like that. Let's see, let's see. Okay, so this one needs to go down here, but it's on the opposite side, so what we need to do is we need to switch it. Okay, so now that we have it like that, let's go ahead and move it up using R prime. Let's work on our orange and our yellow now. I see orange and yellow right here, and I can see that these two can go with this one. And how you know that is because they both have these yellow stickers right here, and if they're matching, when you move them down, they're going to align perfectly. This one doesn't align well, so we're going to have to do the swapping algorithm again. Remember, as long as you do the swapping algorithm correctly, you won't have to worry about messing up your center. It's alright if it's mixed up. You just need to make sure you're doing the algorithm correctly, and when you align them back at the end, you will have a perfect plan, I assume. Okay, let's see. Let's do our blue and yellow this time. Oh wow, we can see that if we move this here, we've already aligned our blue and yellow. So let's move that up. This makes things faster for me. Less editing, right guys? Alright, let's see. This one can be aligned right here, like that. Now we just need here's our last piece. We're going to move it down. And we're going to align them together. Put them for the final stage. Now we need to realign. All right. So now we have finished our bottom and our top pieces. So now what we need to do is we need to work on our last 4 edges, and then we can go on to 3x3 stage. So let's go ahead and go to our 3x3 stage. Sorry, not 3x3 stage. I meant the last 4 centers. I mean last 4 edges. I don't know what I'm doing with my life anymore. Okay. All right, let's work on our last, I would say our last edges right here. Let's see. Okay, so we can see that these 3 are pretty good aligned, but we're not going to focus on that. What we need to focus on is fixing these little edges right here, these 2 bars right here. This is what we want to work on, these 2 only. We don't care about these outer ones, we just care about the little ones. So I can see this one's solved, so I don't need to worry about that. It's these 3 that aren't solved. And because we learned in 4x4 that we actually need something on top to be able to edge edge pair, we're going to be moving one of these pieces up. So using the same algorithm to move it up, we're going to move it up like that. Oh shoot. And now we're going to see what needs to be swapped. Okay, so it looks like this is going to go, so it looks like none of these pieces will actually go with one another. So I guess I'm gonna have to put this one at the bottom like this. So you can see that this piece needs to go down here because these 2 will align together. So I will put them down there like that. And now that I've aligned them, I'm going to do the same thing I did with the 4x4 when I was doing some edge pairing. Since we learned this in 4x4, we know how to do this. And now, since all of these little ones are solved, we can start working on these outer ones. And since this one's almost complete, we'll see where this piece is. Okay, so it looks like this piece is on top, and it looks like it needs to go at the bottom. So we're going to use our swapping algorithm. Move it down there. We've aligned that whole bar together. So now what we can do is we can move this one that's free to go down there, and we have to move it back. So let's see what is to be aligned next. Okay, so it looks like we can align this one by doing a U2. Actually, no. We first have to move this up because there's nothing on top for us to swap with. Let's do a U2. We've aligned the green and the red together. So now we just need to do a edge pairing. This is pretty good. I know that I'm moving a little bit fast, but I have said before that I am going to need to have you master how to solve a 4x4 and 5x5, and this should all be self-explanatory at this point. But if it's not, then let me explain with this. It looks like when we align this together, we want to make sure that all these pieces, you just want to make sure that all these pieces are good to go and together. That's really what you're striving for at this point. And I'm almost done with this green and red. I'm trying to find that last piece. It's down here, so I need to re-swap it. Like that. We learned how to do this in 4x4 and 5x5 when we were edge pairing. And now I can move this down and solve for that green and red. And okay, so we came to a specific case now. Okay, so check this out. We came to a specific case where all the edges are solved, but now we have like this edge parity. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the edge algorithm for this one. So let's go ahead and do it. And since we edge swap with this, we're going to do a corner swapping. We're going to switch it up so that this can go in the right place. And let's do that again. Okay, so now that we have that, we can switch this one more time. Switch it again. And let's go ahead and do it one more time. So yeah, this part right here actually involves us doing 3 times if you have that sort of edge parity. But yes, this is it now. We have successfully completed all of the edges. Now we can go on to our 3x3 stage. So now you just solve it like a Rubik's Cube. You just move these outer ones. Don't move any of the middle ones. You don't have to do that anymore. Don't move the middle ones. Just make sure you're just moving the outer ones. and solve it like a 3x3. So let's do that right now. Okay, so while solving in 3x3 stage, I've come across a parity, because this is actually a T-perm, but you can see that if I do the headlight, this is considered a headlight, and if I do the headlight algorithm again, as you learned in solving the 3x3, you can see it's actually going to turn out like this, with a bunch of headlights. And if I do the PLL for that, you can see that it should create only one of these solid state, but it has two, and these two are swapped, and this cannot be possible. So I'm going to teach you the PLL parity algorithm, and here it is. You're going to do an inside, so that's going to be an L lowercase l. Sorry, that's going to be lowercase l2, u2, lowercase l2, u lowercase u3, l lowercase l2, and then you're going to do another l lowercase 3, and that basically does it so it doesn't have PLL. And now I can do it opposite side, solving the Rubik's Cube. Oh my god. There we go. So now your 6x6 is complete. You have solved it. Congratulations for solving a pretty difficult puzzle. It was this one does have a little bit of tricks up its sleeves. So that is one thing that is very important about solving the 6x6. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope that you were able to solve your 6x6 Rubik's Cube. And yeah, let me know what other tutorials you'd like me to do. I will be coming out with a Megaminx and a Pyraminx tutorial. And I guess I'll teach you guys how to solve the Rubik's Bear if you guys want me to. So yeah, I'll see you all in my next video. Peace out, guys. Oh, shoot.